Happy Friday, everybody. It's Friday, August 12th, 2022. At least that's what I'm told. And this is episode 127 of Jackman Radio. And I'm excited to welcome a fellow New Englander, a fellow Franklin Pierce University alum, I assume an Irishman, a fellow Irishman.
Oh, you know it.
Judging by the name. But it's Mr. John Donahue. He's a musician. He's an actor. He's all around an interesting guy. John, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining Jackman Radio.
Of course, man. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
doing great. Doing great. My son is going to be born any day now. You know, things are good.
You were saying that, yeah, we might have to see about the interview because you got the missus is expecting very soon.
Yep. Excited, man. Excited.
Cool. And I like the name. Are you announced the name, or is it still a secret?
No, it's okay. Jack Carter Donahue.
Jack Carter. I like that name. It's got a good.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I figure if he ever needs a pen name or anything like that, he's got it. You know.
Yeah, Jay Carter.
Yeah.
And Jack Carter is Jimmy Carter's son. I think his son or his grandson. He has a son named Jack Carter.
Yeah, so, I didn't know that.
That's pretty good company.
It is. Yeah.
I'm a Jimmy Carter fan.
Yeah, I mean it's tough not to be when they tried to give the guy a really bad rap because he basically just kind of looked at the country and was like, "Hey guys, this is gonna wear out sometime. So we just gotta can we at least talk about it?" And they were like, "Boo! Boo this man! Boo this man! I want my styrofoam McDonald's containers forever! Boo this man!
Fuck you and your solar panels!" He does, man. He does get a bad rap, but I defend him, man. I mean, he did his best, and you can dig into the October surprise that happened with the Iran hostage situation.
Sure.
And Bush, H.W. Bush and company and all those fucking slimy dudes were involved in that, and it really rat fucked Carter and his reelection.
Well, chances. Of course, when Reagan took office, that's like he took all the credit for solving that problem.
Right.
It was almost politically, it was almost genius of those guys to be like, no, we're going to sabotage it. We're going to make it look like he's the bad guy. And then right at the end, when you win, we're going to take credit for it.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, yeah, there was fuckery going on. Well, what a lot of people don't realize about H.W. Bush, who was, Reagan's vice president there for 8 years, is he was, deep intelligence and, just a shadowy kind of dude and operator all over the world going back to the 50s. And, they named the fucking building down there that I drove past recently when I was down in Virginia. The CIA is called the George H.W. Bush Center for Intelligence. So,
I feel like the Bush family saw what the Kennedy family was trying to do. JFK gets taken out, and I think at that point, Bush Sr. was like, well, I'm going to have some kids, and I'm already kind of neck deep in this government thing. I wonder if I could, after I try to make my push and wait my turn to become president, I wonder if I could push one of them too. Because that's strange. It's strange to have a dynasty like that where you had Bush Sr. from 89 to 92, and then you had Clinton for those 8 years, and then you had Bush's kid. Like that looks. At the time, I don't think people really saw the optics of what that looked like. But when you look back in time, that's strange. Your dad was president 8 years ago, and now you're president.
Yeah, no, you're gonna. Well, they were grooming Jeb. They wanted Jeb to do it, but W kind of got hubris and cut the line. But I always point to a great thing. We were talking about Jesse Ventura before we rolled. Is he's like, since 1980, we've only had Bushes and Clintons running things in this government, and I've had enough of it. I'm tired of it. Obama got in there and he made Hillary Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And then Bush's brother's running again. He ran the gamut. And you actually think about it, you're like, Jesus Christ, the body's right about this. It's just
it is strange that like a small group of people for 30 to 40 years.
Two families.
Basically, yes, two families just sort of, we'll take power if we can. Sure. No one's going to stop us? No. Yeah, of course. We'll take we'll make that vacuum play and just take it for us.
Yeah, it runs deep, but I don't know, man. So, John, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, we started following each other on Instagram a little while ago, and you'd responded to one of my stories, and just said you liked the show and enjoyed it, and if ever I wanted to chat, I would love to be on the show, and I was filling my calendar this month, and I thought back to that conversation. So,
man, I'm happy, I'm honored, and it's always it's tough to find people that just can sustain like a conversation. So I really appreciate being on here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. And so your background a little bit. So, I mean, our paths crossed in college at Franklin Pierce University. So you're originally from Vermont?
Yeah, so I grew up Colchester, Vermont, right outside of Burlington. Stayed there till 18. Applied to some schools, got into Franklin Pierce, got a grant to go to Franklin Pierce. So I was like, well, if I'm going to go, if I'm going to try college, I'm going to go to college. I'll take the one that at least is going to give me a grant to go. And I loved it, man. I loved Ringe. I love the area. I like being secluded. So, in that area, especially in the fall, all seasons, really, that whole area is just gorgeous. So I was happy to be there, happy to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough to beat that window of late August when you're starting back at Pierce, and then early September, and all the homies are coming back.
Oh, man.
It's just prime. It's just prime weather, man, and it's beautiful. And, for political guys like us, there's nowhere better than New Hampshire with the primary. So while we were both there, the 2008 primary was happening because the 2004 election happened and the 2008 primary. So we had some pretty cool people come through Franklin Pierce. And
if I remember correctly, was it Cheney that came through, or was it Bush himself?
So
one of them came through.
Someone
came through.
John McCain came through while we were there for the 2008 primary. And then before that, before we were even students there, the dedication of the Marlin Fitzwater Center, H.W. Bush.
That's what it was. Okay.
Came to campus. And I think I was in either middle school or early high school, and I took the day off from school to go to that. I'm like, holy shit, a former president's coming to Ringe, my hometown.
Right.
And, Poppy Bush was there. My brother just dropped us in the chat. He said Poppy Bush was there in 2002. Okay, because that makes sense because the Marlin Fitzwater Center is fucking 20 years old now.
Yep.
They're just
it's crazy. And he was, what was he in the Bush administration? Was he?
Marlin Fitzwater was Ronald Reagan and then H.W. Bush's press secretary.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. I knew it was something important.
He, lent his name to it. And you look at some of those plaques inside the Fitzwater Center when you first walk in. You see some serious military-industrial complex names, Sean. Some big heavy hitters are involved in creating the Marlin Fitzwater Center.
Dude, I've been saying it forever. The bubble, that's low key to me. I swear to God, I know it sounds like crazy, but I feel like the bubble is on like a list. If like shit hits the fan in New Hampshire and the president's there, or they're going straight to the bubble. They're going straight to the bubble. You can see it from the sky. You can see it from Monadnock. If they have to fly in by, there it is. We have to get into the bubble.
Oh, man. Were you there when that thing, I think snow took it down when it collapsed?
Yeah, and then someone shot an arrow through it one year, I think, too, which is just
climbing on it, getting drunk and climbing on it and shit. Because I grew up in Ringe from 4th grade on, so I have memories of being a kid going to the bubble and it being like this incredible like biodome type.
It's awesome. It's an incredible. When you think about it, it really is like it's a really cool building. It's
really
vacuum
cool.
sealed when you get in there.
Yeah, so I never was of the mindset. Why would you do anything to harm this thing? We need to protect the bubble at all costs.
Yeah, I'm going to take a venture to I don't know the IQ of the person that was like, I'm going to shoot an arrow through it, see what happens, and just ruin it for everybody else.
One of those fucktards at Pierce from Connecticut.
Yeah, it probably was.
We can shit talk Connecticut, John, because you're from Vermont. I'm from New Hampshire.
No, Connecticut's is what do they call it? A drive-by state or a drive-through state? It's like every time anyone's in Connecticut, I know they're never like, yes, I love this place.
But we mentioned before we were running. Justin Martell is from Connecticut originally, and he's one of the best things about Franklin Pierce. He's my best friend from college. We're still really tight, and we met.
Well, I was telling you, man, I remember seeing when Running for Flipflops came out, which was the student film. I believe it was that David Swift and Justin wrote, right?
Running in Flipflops. Wrote and directed? They wrote it, and I think it came out in very early 2006. It was all filming and going on in 2005 when we started, and then 2006, I think spring, they premiered it up at the Fitzwater Center.
Well, like I say, I remember seeing them drive around doing promo for it, and he'll have to correct me on it, but I believe they were throwing flip-flops out. Or maybe it was I just saw them throwing their own flip-flops at people. I don't know. It could have been whatever, who knows?
It was just awesome. It was just a exciting time, man. I just miss those days where you just didn't realize how fucking good we had it, man.
Not only that, man, that was the end of it as far as like, so when I started in 2004, Facebook was just like kind of like a mutter. You just heard it. I heard people talking about it. I was like, I don't know what it is. I didn't want it. I was like, I didn't care about it. And then sophomore year, because I was still used to using AIM, AOL, like that was cool to me. And my email was.
What was your AIM name?
Oh, John. First it was Leroy 657, and then it was John Don 657, and it stayed that way till the end, man. Till the end.
I was EJ Thornton 6 after Joe Thornton from the Boston Bruins.
Nice. But yeah, they that was like there. It was just starting. Like MySpace was around, sure, but it wasn't like it wasn't what it turned into for kids trying to navigate their way out of high school like it is now. You know, like we still had like, you know, you still had to go to see people. You still had to go out to do things.
Yeah.
You still had to meet people. You had to go talk to people. Right. You know, now that initial icebreaker, and I don't care who you're talking to, whether it's someone to be a friend, whether it's someone that you're interested in, whatever it is, going up and talking to people you don't know and breaking that icebreaker builds this ability to either develop a personality, understand the do's and don'ts of communicating. Like, oh, I went up and I said this person didn't like that, so I shouldn't do that. You know, I feel like those important parts of learning to grow as an individual are they're just not there anymore. You know.
Yeah, I'm worried for kids, man, coming up now, because exactly the whole mode of communicating and connecting and getting to know people is just, it's now in the screen and
emotionless
on the phone. Yeah, exactly. And I just watched this. This really creeped me out. I watched I think it was 60 Minutes Australia that I watch a lot. The algorithms got me, you know, because I was watching an Olivia Newton-John thing. May she rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, she's in Xanadu now, you know. But
he's riding that Cadillac.
Oh, dude, she's there with the guy from the Warriors. He was very miscast in Xanadu. He had no business being. I mean, he was kind of pretty in Xanadu. They did him up a little bit. His hair was kind of long, and they put guy liner on him, and it looked good.
They did what they could.
Yeah, but this thing came up on 60 Minutes Australia, and these young teenage girls who are just having these uncontrollable tics, where they're just like, it's not what's that thing called when you just shout shit out uncontrollably?
Tourette's.
It's not Tourette's. It's like
an involuntary tic. They got it from TikTok.
Yeah, they got it from like social media and TikTok, and just like, you know, just doing this on their phone constantly. That now. And it's mostly young girls, like I think, I don't know, 12.
No, I saw that.
16, and they're totally like just glitching out and.
Well, if you think about it, man, like you said, people staring at their phone, like you just did. If you do that every single day, for like most of the day, and your mind keeps seeing things go up and down. They're going up and down. Things are getting larger. Things are getting smaller. Sometimes there's sound coming out of your phone because you hit a video and you hit the voice button on it. Sometimes there's not. It's just consistently like your brain is just always, I think, trying to. I don't think it's set to function like that. No. I don't think your brain is set to, your subconscious is set to remember every single thing it's seeing as you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And eventually your body's just going to be like, when it's not there, I feel like the mind is still going to be trying to adjust to the stuff that it already knows. So I think that probably was where those tics come in. Like, I'm not seeing anything anymore.
Yeah, and you couple that with how young these kids are, that they're raised on these devices. You and I were not raised on these devices.
No.
You know, when were you born? 85?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born 86, so we were born right in the mid-80s.
We were outside kids. You know, you went outside.
Yeah.
You just went outside. You found like a stick. Was like,
yeah,
the stick could take your whole day. If you found a stick that looked like a gun, you could run around with your friends for 10 hours.
Rode bikes. I did rollerblading. My old man was from Canada. He built a friggin' hockey rink in our yard.
Oh, dude,
out playing hockey. You know, we weren't on screens like that.
No, so, you were absorbing the world around you as you're supposed to.
Yeah. So it's just it's scary and it's weird. So I just think back to that small window when we were in college, and it was just I would just reflect really fondly on it, and I look at now because I follow all of Franklin Pierce's socials on Instagram. And everything now is kind of tailored towards that sort of shit. And the experience is totally different than what we had. And we were only there between 18 and 13 years ago.
Right. Well, and two, the other thing, like if you look at concerts now, man, everyone just has their phone up. Everyone's like looking at a concert through their phone. You know, and I would understand it too if like the audio sound you're going to get was going to be awesome and you're going to get, but people just hold their phones up and record for the sake of, I don't know why, but for the sake of just having their phone up because everyone else has it up. But you don't, I've done that too. I've tried to record this song, awesome, and then I'll go back and I'll look at it, and be like, oh, like I can't even watch this because I can't even hear it. You know,
and during that whatever 4 or 5 minutes of song, I wasn't really present for it and enjoying it, and I spent all this goddamn money on this ticket to be here, and I went through all this trouble. I dragged my fat ass to the show. I gotta get up at 8 a.m. for work tomorrow. I'm not gonna be home till 1 a.m.
Right,
and I had my phone up the whole time.
And you know, I understand too. You know, like the world evolves, right? Remember, everyone was like, "Hey, don't play video games," and now video games are awesome. You know, people are making millions of dollars doing it. The internet's going to be nothing. I'm going to keep my old way of holding my files, and then I'm not going to use email. That's a fad. You know, all these things. I understand it changes, but I think there's no oversight or just like idea of what's going to happen when everything meets a head. You know, is anybody even going to care at that point?
Yeah, you know? Right. Well, I mean, the joke. I don't know how much of a joke it is. Everyone's going to be in the metaverse in a pod.
Yeah.
Hooked up the tubes, eating fucking mealworms from Klaus Schwab.
Look, I know. Yeah. What's his theory? The Great Reset. That's his theory or his concept or something.
The Great Reset, John. You will own nothing. You will be happy. You will love it, and
you will love it. That's what he said. You will love it.
You will eat bugs. Oh,
it's eerie. It's eerie.
And you see like influencers and stupid brain dead celebrities pushing this shit, you know.
Of course,
we're gonna go meatless. It's like, fuck you, man. As long as I'm here, I'm gonna eat that steak.
Well, and on top, look, also, they're the biggest hypocrites you're ever gonna meet in your entire life. Like, isn't it hysterical though? They'll go to like climate change. Like summits in their private jet, and then show up in like an armed like SUV, and then get up and then tell us. Like, you guys need to stop leaving the lights on. Yeah. You understand? Do you get it? You need to stop, and you need to stop eating meat. Now, excuse me, I have to go get in my cavalry of Suburbans to go get on my private. It just comes off so disingenuous.
And also, we don't want you to have guns as I get in with my armed security team.
Right.
To burn up all these fossil fuels.
Right. It was like when, I don't know if you remember when, God, it might have been summer of 2020 when that Chaz zone out in, it was either Seattle or Portland went up, right? And these are people that are like anti-government, like no borders, blah, blah, blah. You know, the first thing these people did to protect themselves was set up a border with armed guards, and then they saw who they want to know who was coming in and out. And I was like, I don't understand how you guys can't see the irony. I don't understand how you guys have only been here 3 days, and I can't understand how you don't see the irony in just the basic idea of just general safety. Just general safety. Just like, look, anybody's welcome to come here. Anybody. It's just there are channels. You can't go into any other country like you can come here. If I tried to go to France and I was just like, hey, I'm coming in here. No, they're gonna be no, you're not. You're going home. You're going wherever.
All, we're gonna figure out who the hell you are and what you want to do here in our country.
Right. Yeah. And that doesn't seem like an outrageous request. Now, I do understand that there are people that are involved in that decision making that maybe have ulterior motives. I don't know what it is, but for the most part, I feel that that's a normal process. To say, hi guys, I'm here. I'm not originally from your country. I love your country and I like what you guys do here and I'd like to come be a part of it. And for the most part, people are going to be like, okay, cool. We just needed to know that. Because what usually happens is if they show up and they claim asylum, they're let go. They never show up for any of the dates. They never show up any of the appointments. And then that's even more dangerous for some of those people because now we have no record of them. If their family calls here, we're like, we saw them once. We don't know where they are. You know. It seems like you can sort of snowball out of control into sort of what's already going on now, you know?
Yeah. That issue is just the immigration thing and the border. It's a mess. It's a freaking mess. And
if you say anything that's even that doesn't resemble open borders, people are like, you're a xenophobe.
Oh yeah.
You're this. It's like, no, it's just the rest of the world seems to understand that concept. I don't understand how that is controversial.
Right.
You know,
and the more hardline people will be like, it's to stop the flow of drugs. It's like, sure, drugs do come in, but the majority of the drugs, it's from the ocean, from those giant chip containers.
Right.
Cocaine and all that comes in through that.
Yeah, the ports. The ports, or people, or people just throw it over boats, whatever it is.
Yeah, they airdrop it from a plane, or some come in from the border. Of course, you would be stupid not to deny that reality, but it was just kind of a talking point. It's a talking point that she was in, and people are absolutely hysterical on both sides of that argument.
I know it's like it doesn't need to be as difficult as you're making it. Yeah, it just doesn't have to. And that's especially as of late, man, in the last 10 years. No, maybe the last 14. No, maybe the last 14 years. Ever since Barack Obama took office and the right lost their mind, they just couldn't believe they lost that election. They couldn't believe they lost that election. They pulled out all the stops. They went and got a woman to be VP. They were like, "This is going to do it. We need something." You have a charismatic, intelligent black gentleman who's able to win over these crowds. You have Joe Biden, who at the time wasn't the Joe Biden he is now, but Joe could go out there and kind of get people going. And then the right was like, "What do we do? Who's going to be our VP? What are we going to do to sort of shock the world?" And they bring out Sarah Palin, and bless her heart, she's tried to do what she could, but it's just you weren't going to beat that machine of Obama at that time. And I don't think the Republicans ever recovered from that. So when they had a chance to throw someone like Trump, who, if everybody remembers, nobody liked him when he first came around. All those Republicans were like, "No, this guy is a charlatan. He's a thief.
He's a joke.
He's a joke." No one took him serious. And then when the National Convention saw, oh wait, like this guy's actually getting steam, and the roasting is working. I was explaining, we were talking about this before, man. He roasted himself to the White House. Little Marco, Lion Ted, crooked Hillary,
low energy Jeb. You're very low energy, Jeb. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about Trump, though, is that he did that to these established career, morally bankrupt and corrupt, holier than thou politicians.
Well, of course, because his mindset was like, you can tell the world that I'm corrupt, sure, but if you think I'm not going to put it back on you guys, like the world already knows who I am. They know who I am. They don't know who you are.
It took a corrupt gangster like Donald Trump to do that, to point out the other gangsters. And
because I like the idea that they were always trying to spin, and you saw it. You saw it with Ted Cruz up there. You saw it with Jeb Bush. They would be like, Donald. I can't believe this is not how you talk in politics. Donald. This is shameful. You are making a mockery of this, Donald. And he loved it. He was like, "Yeah, of course I am. Like, you guys are trying to tell me I'm the worst person up here. You guys all have skeletons in the closet. So don't just try to. And if you guys want to keep playing with me, I'm gonna ante it up.
I'll go nuclear."
And he did.
Oh, he did. He brought a nuclear weapon to a knife fight. And I love that he had probably donated to pretty much everyone on that stage.
Of course, at some point.
Mm-hmm. He's like Rand Paul, who I liked, who I actually endorsed in the 16th primary. He was like, "Boy, Rand, you're having a tough night tonight. I gave you a lot of money. You're not doing so well." So what happened is one of the oligarchs came from behind the curtain, and he actually got in the race and ran himself.
Right,
the oligarch who typically fund all the puppet politicians.
Well, this is what happened too. Remember, they said hey, this is how ridiculous it was, man. How ridiculous it was. They looked at him and they said, "Hey, if you don't get the Republican nod, are you opposed to running as an independent?" And he was like, "Nope." Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Will you endorse the eventual nominee if it's not you? He's like, "I can't promise that. We'll have to see what happens." It's just like, I love this.
Look, like him or not, man, Here's what it was. It was good that America got to see that these people don't always have the best interest of Americans at heart, right? And sometimes these guys go up there, and I think people are tired of the phoniness that comes with the speeches and just all of it, just like kind of that, like, because we've seen behind the curtain at this point. We know it's not perfect. We know we're not a perfect country. We know we're trying to do everything we can. The people of the country are not bad people. Okay. They're just people that are in power above us that are making decisions that they're not thinking about you and me. They're not thinking about us. None of them are. I would venture to say that 70% of current serving politicians are just there because they like the attention. They like the doors being held for them. Exactly. And then there's 15 of them that sort of play the fence. Maybe they have a conscience, but they usually, wherever the money's going or what serves them, that's the direction they're going. And then there's 15% on both sides that generally want to make a difference and sort of believe in the structure of democracy and aren't just there to enhance their own wealth or status. Like being from Vermont, obviously I love Bernie. I don't agree with everything he says, but as far as an individual that's currently holding office, look, man, the worst thing they could get on that guy was that some of the people that were in his campaign were like bros and acting very bro-ish. And then that after like 40 years of being a politician, he bought a $600,000 summer home up in northern Vermont. Like that, the media could not. Here's Bernie Sanders telling everybody they need to stop what they're doing, and the guy lived at the same house for like 60 years in a residential. I know where he lives. He lives right up the street from where I used to live. Just a neighborhood, suburbs, just a nice neighborhood. He goes to the Hannafords, used to go to the Hannafords, where right across from where I lived. I'd see him there on Sundays. When he was running, every now and then he'd have the Secret Service in there with him. Yeah. But for the most part, he was there by himself, approachable. Yeah. That's what people need. There needs to be more of that on both sides. So whether the Republicans need to find that version of Bernie Sanders that's that authentic in their party, the Democrats have to do the same, because, I mean, dude, I have no clue what 2024 looks like. I just don't. And especially after today, like, it's going to be I'm not looking forward to the finger pointing and the, for lack of a better word, shit talking coming from either side as this happens, where one side says, haha, you were wrong. We told you he was corrupt the whole time. The other side saying, no, he was never been corrupt. He's never lied. Like, I don't want to hear from either of those people right now.
Man, it's going to be a lot of noise. Yeah, Bernie. I met Bernie a couple times, and he's, I equate him to like Ron Paul. He has a set of principles that he believes in, and he has stuck to them his entire career.
Whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, you know what he's going to say.
You know where he stands, and he's clear. He stands on principle, and it doesn't make you a lot of friends. But I think it's an admirable and lacking quality and trait that we have in the American political landscape. And you're right, man. I mean, right now, even in office, I could only name a few names. I think of Thomas Massey from Kentucky, who's a kind of liberty-minded Republican from Kentucky. I don't agree with him on everything, but man, he's really good on foreign policy. He's good on marijuana policy.
And that's liberties. Like you were just saying right there, man. Republicans need to sort of come out of the religious. I'm not saying that you can't be religious. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if they can appeal to more than just that, right? Because what's one of the biggest criticisms that people have always had of Republicans? When you think of a Republican, right? Like, oh, it's probably like a middle to upper middle class to upper class, church-going person, right? Not always, but at least when I grew up, from the Boomer generation, that's kind of what it was. And if they can, and there are Republicans that have tried to break it. There are nutbags of like Madison Cawthorn who just tried to break it. You went the wrong way. Yeah, that's hell on wheels, man. It really was. It was like, hey, we're gonna try to break the sort of what conservatism means to, like, we don't even know what it means with that guy. You know what I mean? But if they can break it, like Thomas Massey, the Body, Jesse Ventura, people that are coming to terms of what the new world looks like. The new world is weed friendly, right? Yeah. It is. The new world is weed friendly. The new world is equality for, equal marriage, all of it. That's what it's going towards. And they're going to start losing people if they keep it up. Yeah,
big picture, man. Most Americans agree on that shit, and they just find the little wedge issues to keep us all wound up and fighting with each other, whereas reality, big picture stuff, man, we're pretty much all on the same page, and we're largely just live and let live the life you want to live.
Yep. Don't bother your neighbor,
and just find happiness and be free to exist the way you want to exist. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's off-putting, man. Politics is off-putting to a lot of people, but
It's important, though. You know what I mean? As off-putting as it can be, it's so important right now, especially right now, because we were talking earlier. We're at this crossroad of okay, every generation coming up now, and maybe this has been the case since really 2012. Anybody born after 2012, technology is it. That's it. Yeah. Cell phones, laptops. Eventually, I think you're going to wind up seeing everybody's going to have iWatches. It's not even going to be a cell phone. You're not even going to have the cell phone anymore. I think everything eventually is going to be iWatches and Bluetooth. You pay for something, scan it. Someone needs to call you. You need to answer a call. You just talking to your phone.
We're going to get microchip too, John.
I know. Don't you know? I've already gotten microchip. I got the vaccine, the booster. I've got 4 microchips flowing through me right now.
Yeah, God, yeah. People who say that. Well, no, I mean it's control, and the last 20 years after 9/11, and then the last couple of years, what we saw, what happened. I just call the whole virus the flu world order.
Yeah, that's
it's an umbrella term for look. It was a virus. It was real. It happened. People got sick. People died. I had it. All the above. But my umbrage is just the further consolidation of power that the state took during this crisis.
Oh man,
and how they collect our data and how they monitor us and squeeze people even more and pushed us even more into a total technocratic fucking control grid. And if you can't see that and be honest about it, people weren't paying attention.
Yeah, well, you just said it, man. You just nailed it right there. People weren't paying attention. People still aren't paying attention.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. Like and I don't know who it is. Okay, I don't know who to describe that is seeking this power or seeking this control. I don't know if it's a global institution. I don't know if it's just the United States. I don't know if it's us and some allied partnerships. I don't know what it is, but there is someone that is consistently trying to every single day, make you forget about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Through your TikTok, through your Facebook, through the news, man, just through. Yeah, I had so much fun this afternoon going back and forth from CNN to Fox to see how they were reporting what was happening, right? CNN was like, he's bring him to the gallows. He's selling nukes to the Chinese, right? And then the right was like, we just don't know what to say. Because this is the thing. They've messed it up so badly that when they were explaining what was in the sealed warrant today, they had some attorney on Fox that was literally like, I'm holding my hand up to the screen right now, was holding up the receipt list of all the stuff they found at Mar-a-Lago just so the viewers were like, hey, we're not making this up. This actually happened. This is what we found. I know we've been kind of confusing the last 6 years trying to figure out who we're supporting, but this is real. This happened. This isn't a QAnon drop, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's just who's that? Just nobody's paying attention anymore, and everyone's trying to capitalize on it.
They've eroded people's ability to grasp just the very fabric of what is real, of what reality is. People have totally different realities now. Forget about just having a policy disagreement or we disagree on this issue. People can't even agree on what reality is anymore.
Yeah. What gender is? What it's.
I mean, wondering who the who is. I don't think it's like a handful of people sitting around a table. I think what happens is there's mechanisms and levers of control that exist in every country around the world, and overall, the overarching thing that binds them and connects them is that they have to control populations of millions of people. And there's a couple of ways to do that. You have to do that whether you kill your population, you imprison them, you execute them, you throw them in camps, or you just distract them and you psychologically wage warfare on them 24/7, 365. And that's what's going on, and that's what's done. And you look who controls the media and who owns it. It's a handful of corporations,
right?
Who control what we see, what's coming out. So, I have a small YouTube channel. Other independent people do. We're pushed back against that. But like you said, man, there are people and entities and powers working overtime to distract, to memory hole and to stop people from critically asking questions like, what the fuck just happened these last 2 years?
Right. Well, you think about it too, man, right? So sometimes when you go, here's an example. Okay, so you remember probably the summer of 2020, I think Trump had just gotten over COVID, and they did like the cognitive test with him, right? And they were like, we're going to say 5 words. And then there was that hysterical clip of him just pointing out stuff he sees.
Persian, letter, dog, China, Diet Coke. And then they said, Mr. President, they said, sir, do it backwards. Dog, China, Diet Coke, Ivana, Putin's penis. Okay? I remember that though, John. I do remember that.
It was just, dude, and it was like, and they asked me, they said, say these 5 things back to me. And he was like, camera guy, shoes, microphone, president. You know, it was just all the things he saw right in front of him. But the reason they do that though, is they give him, I think they give you 5. And they do that because the mind is only meant to, or I think is only meant to remember so much stuff at one time, right? So if there's all this horrible stuff going on in the world, but you're consistently scrolling through TikTok just over and over and over again for 2-3 hours, whatever was going on, it's not that you're not going to remember. It's just not on the forefront of your brain anymore. And it might pop up. Someone might say something that may make you remember it or whatever. But I just think everything we use as far as technology goes, the amount of information your mind and your body is trying to comprehend is unnatural. And then, like you were saying earlier about the young girls that were developing like tics because of it, you know, that should be sign number 1. Like, okay, maybe our kids' brains aren't supposed to try to absorb so much endless information. And maybe there are going to be negative results of that. Maybe schizophrenia down the line when these people get older.
We're seeing it, man. Antisocial. You heard about kids 15, 16. They don't even want to leave their room and get their driver's license and go out there and be social and go do things in real life. Dude, when you and I were coming up 15, 16,
I couldn't get out of the house, dude.
Yeah,
get me out of my house.
My license. I want to go out there and explore and see things and live. And so there's entities and there's energy, you know, that is trying to suck the humanity out of our whole deal here.
And the question is, Mr. Jackman, is why? Why are they doing it? Why doesn't anybody care? You know what? One thing that no one's really talking about now, you know, I have all these little stand-up bits that I've never performed, right? But one of the things that I do talk about, and that is, you know, you have these Boston Dynamics. I'm sure you're familiar. They do all the okay. So they introduce these robots to the world by them dancing to like sort of take away the fact that, hey, we know everything you know about robots that you've seen from the Terminator or AI taking over. We know all that's terrifying. So instead of that, we're gonna make them go out there and dance because dude, bro, as if it's relatable. And that's literally the joke where I'm like, I'm glad to know that like when a robot rips my arms off and does the Macarena with them in front of me, that I'm glad the robot knows how to dance.
Thank God they can do the cha-cha with my severed arm.
Yeah. Thank God. Arm. Dude, and the funniest thing too is one of them, the guy just keeps hitting it with a hockey stick and like knocking the robot over. I'm like, wait until that robot figures out. Right now, that robot's sitting there being like, I don't know how to rip your head off, but as soon as I'm programmed to like lift something, I'm going to rip your head off or push you to the ground. But yeah, they make people laugh. Look at these robots. Look at them dance. Yeah. They asked the CEO of the company, right? So there's like the head scientist of Boston Dynamics, and then there's like the CEO, and they said, what do you have to say to Americans about people that have fear of automation and fear of these robots coming in and taking their jobs in factories, driving, stocking shelves, whatever. The CEO of the company, I can't remember his name, but he looks at, I think it was Anderson Cooper, because Anderson Cooper's response after this was equally as insane. Okay. So he goes, well, sure. Yeah. Jobs are going to be lost. Yeah. But I don't think people are thinking about this the right way. Okay. Because think about how many new jobs are going to be created for, I guess you'd call them robot wranglers. And Anderson Cooper goes, robot wranglers. And he's like, yeah, some guy's going to have to be in charge to make sure the robots, on point, making sure the boxes are all landing everywhere. And Anderson Cooper looks at him and goes, after he says, he goes, amazing, simply amazing. And I was like, simply amazing? That's what your response is? His answer to your question of what do you have to say when people are terrified that they're losing their jobs, his answer to you was like, yeah, they're going to lose a lot of jobs, but we're also going to create just a few jobs. And you said that's great. That's the solution right there.
That's amazing.
But it is something to be concerned with, right? I remember seeing self-checkout lines in grocery stores back in the late 2000s being like, this seems problematic because what happens when, because first off, I think it's ridiculous you make me scan my stuff. At least give me a discount if I'm scanning and packing my own stuff. As a company, you should take 10% off every person that comes through. That's what I mean. Every person that comes through scans their own stuff and puts it in the bag, take 10% off their pay. That's neither here nor there. But I remember thinking then being like, people, this is the start of it. Like they don't need people to do that job anymore. What happens when they don't need people to paint? What happens when they don't need people to drive? Eventually, I think even cops, right? Eventually, I think drones are going to come in. And like when you're speeding or something, or you run a red light, there'll be a drone, it'll be activated, it'll come up next to you, tell you to pull over. I know it sounds nuts, but we'll tell you to pull over because cops aren't going to want to keep getting shot at. They're not going to want to keep dealing with it. And then if you don't listen to the drone, well, it'll just follow you everywhere you go. Imagine like it automatically being able to lock onto your car. You basically either have to drive under a tunnel or something to lose it. But they're going to start using this tech in ways that people aren't ready for, and that they've slowly been pushing you to. That's what I mean. They slowly putting in
with movies and with propaganda.
Dancing robots. Hey, look at how cool they are. They can. Wouldn't you want a dancing robot?
Yeah, you want that, right?
Have you seen the dog? So we put a thank you until we mount rocket launchers on its shoulder.
Put ARs in both of his hands.
Please
comply. Please comply. You have
Please comply. Yes.
Your social credit score is at 200. You're supposed to be at 400.
And look, people think that's crazy. It's not.
It's not. It's John. It's InfoWars. It's total tyranny. They're taking over.
Listen,
they're all about a machine with brain, with flesh, folks. They want to turn your penis into a cyborg.
Listen, they just buried him, huh? They just buried Mr. Jones. They said, yeah, he might be able to pay that. Maybe he'll be able to scrounge up that 4.2 million. Maybe through friends, family. Maybe he's got it already. But we're going to hammer him down with another 45 million. I think it was punitive damages afterwards, emotional and punitive. Yeah, we're going to hammer him down. So anytime he ever makes money, because he's going to be paying restitution for the rest of his life. So anytime he really does anything, everyone, some people are going to get the percentage from it. Now, here's the deal. He dug himself that own grave. You know what I mean? Look, man.
I knew people who were close to him when he was doing that. I'm like, someone tell him to just fucking knock the Sandy Hook shit off.
Yeah, that was too wild.
This is bad, man.
There's a difference between being like a troll, you know what I mean, and sort of being like the other side, you know what I mean. And then there's intentional cruelty, which even though he says he's sorry, he didn't mean. Like, what did you think was going to happen? What did you really think was going to happen when you know who your followers are? You know how a section of them are really, that is their life. That's they are. It's paranoid schizophrenic.
It's
their identity. Everybody is part of the. Everybody's part of the cog. Everyone's part of the system.
The people at the grocery store are crisis actors, folks.
Crisis actors, man. And I couldn't even imagine what that family went like. I mean, you lose your kid, and then you get
in position.
People showing up at your place or screaming at you, your work. Like, no, man, that wasn't the way. And the unfortunate part about that is he had some interesting points. I get yelled at all the time for saying this, but like I'm tired of like not being able to speak things that just sort of make sense. The guy had some points some ideas that turned out to be true, some points that should have been listened to and were, sort of spot on. And then out of nowhere, he has the Sandy Hook thing, which he ruined it for himself, but he also ruined it for the people who used to listen to him,
Yeah, well, I mean, I was in
Eric, excuse me 1 second. I just realized my laptop thing fell out real quick and I don't want my laptop to die. Give me 1 second.
Okay, yeah. All right, we'll go through some of the comments here while John fixes that. Pure Palm says, hello and good afternoon, Jackman Brothers and all the fine folks in the chat. Kind blessings to all. Well, kind blessings to you, Pure Palm. Thank you so much. My boy Reed says we need wall. We do. We need wall. We need border security. I've said that all along. We do. We need it. If you like the chat so far, and I'm kind of like a stripper, I work for tips, John. Okay, just
pay this man. Pay this man.
Yeah, if you want to support the channel, go over to Venmo. Send me something. Send me some love. Buy me a beer for the weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. And of course, we're on Patreon. Patreon.com/Jackman Radio. These are the things we got to do, John. You got to always be hyping. You got to always be pitching.
Dude, this is great. Cut it out, man.
Russia, if you're listening, if you could find the 40,000 emails and send me $1 million into my Venmo, I will.
Oh man! Hey, and get ready for that. Get ready for that because that's coming up. Everybody's screaming about the FBI raid.
87,000 new IRS agents they want to fill. It's
Jesus,
why don't we hire 87,000 people to go around and hand out mushrooms and Beatles music?
Yeah, exactly. On top of that, man, you that bill. So I saw something interesting earlier today when this new spending bill they're talking about is brought up that includes those 87,000 IRS agents, and this is how snaky and sneaky politics is, right? Because I'm starting to see more of this as the years go by, and it's only because I've just been watching it so much that I'm able to sort of notice, oh, that doesn't look right. Or, oh, I know why they're shaking hands. Or I know, and anybody who's been watching it for any length of time, you're able to sort of be like, you can call it out. You can be like, oh my God, that's just so performative. Kind of like when, remember like when AOC was walking away with her hands behind her back from the rally.
Supreme Court.
Oh God, yeah, from the Supreme Court, and then like she got her hands behind her back, she's nodding, and then I was just like, oh man,
the YMCA.
Oh my God, dude, just like, what are you doing? Cut it out.
These politicians are actors. I mean, a lot of them they are just they're there to serve corporate masters, and they're actors, and there to get clicks and become celebrities and become famous. And AOC might say some good things sometimes. She's obviously very beautiful. She's very nice to look at, John. Her and the fraud squad. I call them the fraud squad. Okay.
Oh, that's perfect. The fraud squad.
They're down there doing their thing, and then the other side is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I hung out with last month.
Look, she to me is crazy.
Yeah, she's great though. Just how
I was gonna say she, but
I love her, John. Like
I feel bad in the sense where I think here's an example. All right. Recently, there's been this new trend of people who have zero political experience able to get like a buzz going about themselves, and somehow they're able to turn it in. They're able to turn it into serving political office. I can't fault people for doing that, right? If someone was like, "Hey, do you want like a pension salary for the rest of your life?" and you're basically going to get to do what you want for the next, and you're going to get on the sure, that sounds sweet. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody would really turn that opportunity down. The training and how prepared these people are to go down there, it's the same thing when AOC won, right? And that squad won. They thought they were going to go in there. They thought they were just going to tell it how it is. We're telling these politics, we're taking it back. We're getting free healthcare. We're getting free college, everything. We're taking it. And then they got there and they realized like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I can't believe I thought it was going to be that easy, that of just saying it and then getting elected. I can't believe it's not as easy as that. And then they realize like, oh, wait a minute, there is so many layers to who you're even able to talk to when you're a junior, when you're a freshman congressman or senator, man. They're like,
when you're coming in, I mean, look, I worked on Tulsi Gabbard's presidential campaign for a year, and she said Congress is high school. Mm-hmm. You get in there, and it's cliques and it's gangs. And exactly like you said, man, if they even see you talking to the wrong person or there's someone on the other team, you're given the side eyes like you wouldn't believe.
Well, because they expect you, they're like, oh, you're talking to my enemy. That means any dirt you get on me, you're going to give to my enemy. And it's like, that's such a danger. I know it's always been that. I know it's always been that to an extent, but you're right. It's so child to be like they're not serving us anymore. No, maybe they used to. Maybe post World War II. Maybe then, maybe during the .com era, maybe, but they're not serving us, man.
That whole system is just a system of grift, of graft, bribery, blackmail, and
Yep.
one-upmanship and partisan bullshit.
Oh, remember when Pelosi and Schumer were on Capitol Hill wearing like the traditional African garbs during the
what
Black?
What was called dashikis?
Yeah,
and they took the knee. That was incredible.
Oh God! Like if you were a comedian or like comedy at all, just anything like, dude, I've never seen it being like, "What are you doing?
It was so cringe.
What are you guys doing?" Like
so cringe.
You guys have no look. Listen, Nancy Pelosi is like a bazillionaire, and I'm sure Chuck Schumer's not doing that bad either. Like, you guys have no clue what it's like for people out there.
No,
dude, this is like and it's like when it came around to remember when they were writing the checks? You know, we're getting their stimulus checks. I'm not even joking. These guys must have been like, well, how much are we going to give them? And they must have been sitting around being like, I don't know, man. Like
$600,
50, no, like $50,000. I don't know. And they're like, well, no, it can't be 50,000. It's like, oh, all right, let's just give everyone like 30,000. Like, look, when was the last time you guys ever went? No, we can't just give them 30. You know how much that is? Not to me. $30,000 to me. You know, to these people, that number means nothing to them. Then they come down and they settle on something like, yeah, we'll give them $1,200 and then $600. Like, how much of a slap in the face?
Oh, it was a mushroom slap to all of us.
And I get it. Like, sure, you guys could have gotten nothing, right? That's like it's like, well, no. What if you brought the total, like, because I think it was anybody who made under $150,000 qualified. My argument for that was, do these people not know how much $150,000 a year is? Like, if you're in a household income, if your household is ready to collapse afterwards and you've been making this X amount of money for so long, like, I'm sorry, like, that's your problem for mismanaging, but people who are struggling shouldn't miss out on something that is going to help them out a little bit more. You know, if they brought that down, let's say they brought that down, then people even 100,000, we're going to bring it down to like that would have been, I don't know the exact math on it, but I'm going to guess that probably would have been at least another $1,000 for the families who really needed it versus like some families that were like, hey, did you check the mail today? Oh yeah, we got a check from the IRS or something. And they open it like, oh, cool. You know, they deposited $1,200 into our account. We didn't need it, but cool. We got it anyways.
Right.
Yeah, I just think they're so not disillusioned, but just out of touch. Just out of touch.
They're disconnected, man.
Yeah. Remember when who was it? Which politician went to the was it George Bush Sr. who went to the grocery store and like didn't understand how to.
He didn't know what milk costs and how to what the scanner was.
Right. That's what we saw.
Bush, H.W. Bush.
Okay, so you look at those are the people right there, right, that are trying to figure out what struggling Americans need. Some guy that doesn't even know how to walk through a grocery store.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. These are the people, you know, and I know he wasn't involved in the decision making, but people like him were involved. These are people that. When was the last time they drove a car themselves?
A lot of them, they're disconnected, and a lot of them are just corporate-owned, soulless, hookers, prostitutes for corporations, for pharma, for defense, for energy. 5 of the big, lobbies, and then you throw in foreign governments who own people. The Saudis,
right,
have a lot of influence. Israel has a lot of influence.
And a lot of property here too now, China, and I guess China's buying up a lot of property here, a lot of farm property here.
That's what those people get precedence, and then the American people are down maybe at the near the bottom.
Right. So, and there's a comedian named Joey Diaz who's on the Rogan podcast.
Oh, Diaz
and
is
he
great.
Was I mean, as far as the storytelling, as far as stories go, man, it's just the way he can deliver an outrageous story. It's the voice, it's the tone, it's the attitude, it's everything, and it's just him. You know what I mean? It's just him.
It's authentic.
But he was saying, I think it was during the lockdowns, but he basically said, because he was talking about how especially out in California, right? I've never been there, but read enough about what's been going on there, especially recently. And the people out there, from what I've gathered, that 2 years was the biggest shit show a state could have ever possibly been. With people telling people you can't do things, people of influence telling people to stay home, you can't go out anywhere. If you go out somewhere, you're a murderer, you're contributing, flatten the curve. Right. But meanwhile, these people are well, I mean, we have the money for all of our COVID tests, and we have the money for so we go party.
Oh yeah.
You guys can't. There was so much of that stuff that was happening.
Gavin Newsom was out at the nice high-end restaurant drinking wine.
And when you...
We're losing you there, John.
There we go. Can you see me?
Yeah, it's still a little... yeah, the image froze on the screen. Well, we'll put up some comments while John's trying to get that fixed. Let's see. Yeah. Hollywood for ugly people. That is what politics is. Yeah, I've heard Roger Stone say that, and a lot of people say that. Oh, I think you're back, John. I see you.
Sorry about that, man.
That's okay. It's all right. It happens, you know. Your Metaverse pod is acting up right now, John.
Listen, no, the power to be they're the ghost behind the wall here listening thing.
Yeah, we need
We gotta go see what these guys are talking about.
All right, let's see. Micro, Alex's war documentary is worth watching. The one about Alex Jones.
Sweet.
I did watch it, man. It's really good.
Okay,
It's definitely worth watching.
like I said, man. Like,
oh, well, we lost John. We'll see if we can get him to come back in. But yeah, we were talking about Alex's war. Documentary there about Alex Jones by Alex Moyer. This gal who made it, she had like unprecedented access to Emmerich. We call Alex Jones Emmerich because that's his middle name. My family's high German. Middle name's Emmerich. Infowars.com. Operation Paperclip. John Birch Society. Anti-communist warriors. I had this all going around the dinner table when I was growing up. I had this kind of assortment of people. They were patriots. They loved the country. They loved America. They love freedom. They want to eat steak. They don't want to eat bugs that Klaus Schwab puts in their mailbox and sends them. They don't want to do that. They don't want to take a bioweapon and put it in their arm. Let's see if we get John back here, if his connections come back or not. I see you, John. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Thanks, Brostein. Yeah, I can hear you.
okay, cool.
I think you're back.
Yeah. Sorry about that, man. If I timed out on that.
Oh, dude, no problem, man. It happens. Yeah, so it's crazy where things are, but we got to remain optimistic, man. We got to have.
Yeah, no, look, you have to, right? The hope is I think enough people are sort of seeing how outrageous things have been getting and things have been going. It's going to take. I mean, it could take a decade, man, for things to really sort of level out, like fully, completely level out from the anger and flat out hatred that's, I mean, half the country has for the other. Actually, I wouldn't even say half the country. I'm going to say probably, I mean, it's up there, man. It's probably 40% of the country hates the other 40%. And then like-minded 20% people are trying to pull people back to somewhat of what resembles a center line. Just a center line of reality. You said it before, man. You said it earlier on in this podcast. We're fighting in two different realities.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
reality, shared reality.
That's what I mean. It's just like basic like, look, I understand that you reserve every right to feel any way you want to. Absolutely. To be any person you want to be, anything like that. Right. But it's a murky line sometimes when science is it used to be science is everything. You know what I mean? It used to be like pay attention to the science, right? Pay attention to the science.
Yeah.
Biology doesn't seem something that is like
negotiable.
Yeah, like negotiable. Like it seems like it speaks for itself. It doesn't seem like there needs to be any explanation for it. So, but if again, you were talking earlier as well about them trying to find issues to really keep people distracted and keep them forgetting about the crooked banks, that keep them forgetting about the fact that they never released Ghislaine Maxwell's Black Book or Epstein's Black Book. They just didn't release it. right? Isn't that crazy when you think about it? You think look, they wanted to release Trump's warrant because the public had so much interest in it. That's what Merrick Garland said. Merrick Garland was like, there's so much interest in the public to see this warrant, we should release it. I feel like people would want to know who was on Epstein's fuck island, basically, you know?
Oh yeah, pedophile island. Well, I can tell you who the people are. Some they're world leaders. It's Bill Clinton. It's Ehud
again
from Israel. It's
and can you believe people were saying, "Hey, you guys got good news. You guys, don't worry about 2024. We got Big Hill coming back. She's coming to the rescue." And she tried to dip her foot in there, and people, I think finally enough people were just like, look, there's going to be the people around her that are going to be like, go get him. And then most people, I think, though, at this point are going to be like, go away.
Yeah,
like,
just die.
Look,
just die.
I will never forgive, I don't know if it's her or Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I don't know who I won't ever forgive, but there's in that 2016 campaign for hers and in the DNC, just in general, throughout that whole process when, I mean, it was pretty evident, maybe not as much in 2020, but it was pretty evident that Bernie Sanders was the strongest case, at least for momentum and getting people out. And I know their fear was, and it was kind of true, it kind of happened in 2020. His base didn't come out. They went to the rallies, but they didn't come out. Now, granted, you know, there was the pandemic and everything was going on, but people still could vote by mail. You know, there would have been ways to have figured it out at that point. But in 2016, man, when he had all this momentum going, he had 100,000 people showing up. Remember the bird flew in, landed on his podium? A bird, like the tiny, like I don't know if they set that up. It looked like it could have been set up. I don't think so. I think it was as real as it gets. I think a bird was just like, look at this old man that's been preaching, just be decent to people and just fair rules and we'll go on. But when they pulled it from him in 2016, they took it.
They cucked Bernie big time. Wasserman Schultz, the DNC, Crooked H, Donna Brazil. I mean, that's one of the first things that put Tulsi Gabbard on my radar, man. She was co-chair of the entire DNC and she resigned when she learned about all that. Basically,
yeah, she's great, man. She really is.
Told the Clintons to fuck off, and I'm going to endorse Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, her policies. I don't know. I think they're afraid of her too, man. I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same with Bernie. I think they see someone that's coming to the plate that's talking. I don't know if compromisable is a word, but compromisable sense is what I'm going to say, which is, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this is a good situation for everybody involved, and make sure that, you know, compromises, like they need, they're the backbone. Consensus. It's the backbone of having anything, you know. And you look at you look at what happened then. I mean, there were people booing when they were from states that were announcing the state of Nevada votes just, you know, Hillary Clinton. They booed. The people were booing. They were just like, no, that's not what the people want. The people don't want this. The delegates and super delegates are claiming this.
I think Bernie, man, would have destroyed Trump in the general election. I think.
The debates is what I wanted to see.
He would have beaten him pretty easily, you know.
Well, this. Okay, so I was working election night, and then I got off work. I got home, turned on the TV. I found out Trump won also when I was at work. I kept looking at my phone, and I was just like, because I honestly at that point I just didn't care. I was like, I am so. Like I was so excited just because, look, if say Bernie won, this is everybody's fear, right? Everybody's fear is Bernie gets in there and Bernie does all of these crazy plans and he shreds defense funding and he seems like a guy that's willing to compromise. He's worked well with Democrats. He's worked well with Republicans, certain of them. But it seems like he would have gone in there and he would have called. I feel like he would have called everybody on their gigantic campaign donations. I feel like he probably would have tried to sign some executive order saying that's like, we're not accepting dark money in political campaigns anymore. That's not a bad thing. But I feel he would have been able to work well in there. I think there was a lot of fear mongering when they were like, you know, Bernie's going to let everybody in the country and you're never going to be safe if Bernie Sanders is here.
He's Venezuela socialist. It's like, no, he's not.
No, he's not. He used to bus old people in Vermont.
Pretty little of the road, just reasonable stuff.
Right. He used to bus old people from Vermont that couldn't afford their prescriptions in America, he would bus them up to Canada. All these old people would show up once a month. He'd bus them up to Canada, and then he'd bring them back. Like, show me any other politician that's cared enough to even get on a bus with people, a public bus. Okay, just show me one of them.
Yeah.
Any serving senator that's gotten on a public bus just to ride from one stop to the other, you won't find it.
He didn't get on Jeffrey Epstein's Elite Express. He took the bus.
He took the bus there.
Yeah, no, Bernie. There's a lot of things I admire about Bernie. And
dude, you look at I don't know if you're familiar with I call her the voice of America, Lori Lightfoot out in Chicago.
Oh, Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, dude,
she's everything.
Dude, she's the craziest lady out there. But recently, she was like to help combat inflation. Like, she didn't know what to do. So this was her thing. She was like, I'm going to randomly mail out $150 gas cards to a select amount of people, $7 million worth of gas cards that are going to be mailed out to help combat inflation. I was like, that's your solution, is to randomly mail out $150 gas cards. Like, amazing. What about growth? If it's going to be anything, do food. Okay, do food. Do it so they can walk to a store and get some food. It's just ridiculous, man.
Send them some Market Basket gift certificates.
So some Publix.
Yeah,
he loves Publix, dude. He loves Publix.
Oh yeah. Well, people said in 2016 after the Clintons fucked me over and I lost the primary. They said, Bernie, why did you turn around and endorse Hillary Clinton? I said, I want to see my grandkids graduate high school. Okay? They said, here, take this lake house in Lake Champlain. We'll give you Lake Champlain. You get to live.
Oh, dude, it's still my favorite, though. They were like, I can't believe, here's Bernie. Bernie tells everyone to spend money wisely. Just bought a $600,000. Yeah, he's 80 years old after 40 years.
You look at the graft and the grift of how these other people live, like the Pelosi's, like the Clintons, like the Bushes. Dude, they're graft and grifting, and they're war profiteers.
Absolutely,
to my knowledge,
100%.
Is not a war profiteer. If he
I think he's voted against every war.
If he wants to write a book and make a couple $1 million that people want to read, that's great.
Right.
Go ahead.
And look, I trust him more with a couple $1 million than I trust, John Kerry.
Hunter. How about my son Hunter, John? God bless his soul. He's the smartest man I know. He's been sober for 28 minutes.
Oh my God.
That's because his dealer hasn't got out of bed yet. His dealer, Corn Pop Jr. the Third. Come on, man.
Oh God, I wonder. I don't even know what to make of that situation, to be honest with you. Part of me is like, okay, so you got this guy. Okay, so shouldn't be like a shock to anybody that when you're president or vice president, that I wasn't shocked when everyone's, dude, he got this $1 million job over in Ukraine I was like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, man. He's Joe Biden's son, right? That didn't shock me. Right, that didn't shock me, but it was like, well, yeah, okay, but he knows nothing about the energy sector. Like, he didn't know anything. Like, no, he's a lawyer. Okay, yeah, but okay, so does he do law for the firm? No, dude. He's basically like CEO. It's like a high paying job. He makes a couple million a year, but he knows nothing about energy. No, nothing. Okay, so that's strange, right? So then you think like, okay, well, yeah, it would probably be super beneficial if somebody high up on your board had direct relations with the vice president and then what's going to be future president of the United States. That would probably play well. And who knows what the companies were doing? Maybe I couldn't have, look, I know what I'm going to say is going to sound nuts. All right. I know. And I know this isn't what it was for. I'm not saying that he was the reason he went there, but I feel like, was he placed there so we had some sort of investment in Ukraine? Because we heard the rumors of, we saw what happened in Crimea. Do we know that maybe if Hunter is on the board there, is that going to deter Putin from entering the country at some point? If the former vice president's son, would America take that as an act of war to invade a country where the vice president's son might be there? Something like that. I know that's not the case, but I think the direct line of communication from the company to Biden is why they put them on, is why he got the job in the first place, obviously, right? But going to the laptop, there's pictures of him on there smoking crack with hookers. That's scummy, and he shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, I'm not shocked. That's what I mean. I'm not shocked. I heard rumors he was a drug addict and a crackhead ever.
Well,
So I don't want
there's a lot of good research. I point to so I co-host a show once a month with my friend Ryan Dawson, who has done amazing research into the Biden crime family, and he has a documentary out called Corn Pop's Revenge, and he digs into all this, all that stuff, and it's pay to play, and it's access.
It is,
and that's the game, man. It's a rigged system, it's a rigged game. They're all crooks. It's a mafia and a cartel, and the Bidens are no different than that,
No, I don't think so, man. I know he can play. I don't. I anybody who's that high in any political sphere, you've done compromising things, and you've been compromised. You've compromised people. Yep. Like I just think everybody sort of has this. Everybody's got something on everybody, I think.
Well, that's it. It's dirty and nasty when you get to that level. Well, we're coming up past the hour here, John, and this has been so fun, man. I've really enjoyed talking to you and catching up, and we didn't even really get to your music background and acting, but I'll definitely bring you on again, man. So please. And
if there's ever any really big thing that happens and you need someone to go live with, just shoot me a text, shoot me a message, man. If I'm free, man. It takes me 5 minutes to get this set up, so
definitely. No,
we can have some fun with it.
Yeah, we'll bring you back on again, and it's always great to reconnect with my fellow Franklin Pierce Ravens
alum,
and just out doing amazing things in the world, John. Amazing things. Well,
hey, can I also say this, man, before we go? I was so happy and proud. Again, I was sitting with my folks, and first it came on local news, WCAX, of a New Hampshire man with a spot-on Trump impression, right? So I remember I was like, "It's Eric Jackman." I'm going to tell my dad. I was like, "Pops, I went to college with him," and then maybe I don't know from that point to when the next one happened, but there was footage of you on Fox, and I don't know if it was the 5 or it was Tucker's show. One of them had you. Like when they were covering the New Hampshire primary. Regardless, I remember watching with my folks again, being like, "Oh my God, there he is again!" And I was stoked, man. I was like, because it was a great impression, and just fun to see people. It's fun to see people succeeding, man. And so, I was glad to see you there, brother.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, there was just some surreal moments, man, when my Trump impression blew up, and he put me on the map and called me out. I got on TV a bunch of times, and it's been an amazing journey. But I appreciate that, man.
Of course.
Awesome, and congratulations on your son being born here.
Thank you, man. Any moment now.
All the health and well wishes to you. And for a beautiful, perfect birth, like my phone call to Zelensky. It was a perfect call. Okay, so
we'll be talking about that next time, man.
It's going to be a perfect call and a perfect birth.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, hang it with me here for a sec, John.
I will, brother.
Chat after. But folks, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, become a patron. Patreon.com/Jackman Radio. Or if you're on Venmo, send me a tip. Send me a beer. Send me something on Venmo. Send me Russian rubles or shitcoin. I'll take shitcoin. Senator Jackman 86 is Venmo, and we'll be back again soon. And we'll keep it going. So have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.